People are sleepwalking into a crisis right here in the United States, in Canada, in other countries where most people are sitting ducks. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. In today's video, we are going to cover what's happening in the US economy. And of course, as this continues right through and around the world, I'm going to show you what's going on with the markets. Not just Wall Street, though, of course, Main Street as well, beginning right here. This is talking about what happened with the GDP. The numbers came in, they look weaker. We don't have to believe them as in like this is the actual economy, but guess what? Economists look at this stuff, businesses look at this stuff. So we have to pay attention and at least measure it against previous measurements of that same thing. So in the case of the GDP, looking at it 1.4%, that's low. What does it tell us? The economy is not as strong as they would have hoped. But you look out to some other countries and you say, oh my goodness, it's even weaker out there. And that's part of the issue. The United States is like the least of the ugly ducklings. That's a problem, though, because you cannot have one country doing well amongst all the others. The global economy, never perfect, but you need to kind of have, rising tide raises all ships. That's what needs to happen, and it's not. It really isn't. In fact, if we look deeper, what do you see? The 1%, they are the ones spending all the money, and the middle class and everybody else are really losing out. Fed's preferred gauge showed accelerating December inflation trends. So you can see the core PCE. This is an important one. There's also core CPI. There's so many different measurements of inflation, none of which are, of course, real. However, when the Fed is going to look at it, we got to pay attention. The Federal Reserve is going to see these numbers accelerating. What does that mean? Think about this. They can't go and cut rates if the inflation rate is too high. Some older Americans are unretiring to keep up with the costs of living. If they cannot, they stay in the workforce or unretiring, they're coming back into the workforce. That is a problem for younger people. Layoffs in January were the highest to start a year since 2009. Very important stuff. Look at this in depth and you will see it for yourself. This is a crisis that is unfolding right before our very eyes. Brand new information. This comes from the Money GPS, and what I have here is called the macro compass. And we can look at each individual issue. Every day, this repopulates with information showing us the short, medium, and long-term effect. And you will see that US inflation moderates, but the Fed rate cut path remains uncertain. And depending on how we measure this, the point here is that the Federal Reserve can't necessarily say, we think it's going to be better later, so we're going to start cutting rates again. That's not what's going on. If inflation continues to trend downwards, the Fed may begin to cut rates more aggressively, potentially stimulating economic activity, but also risking a resurgence of inflationary pressures. It all depends on what happens with inflation in the next little while. The historical parallel here in this case is the disinflationary period following the Volcker era. Both involve a period where inflation is moderating after a period of high rates, leading to discussions about a potential rate cut from the Fed's ability to achieve a sustained period of price stability. The outcome at that time, inflation was brought under control, leading to a period of economic expansion, but required significant monetary tightening initially. They didn't do that. We didn't get the Volcker era, but they did increase it to a level, hasn't been there for a while. I don't think they did the job initially. They wouldn't have been able to get away with it without a massive, massive recession. And they didn't want to stomach that. Nobody wanted to. And so they say, you know what? Let's just do it here. Let's be moderate with our inflation, trying to subdue that inflation. Let's put it here. Don't do the job. What do you expect? All right. There's many, many more features in here. I'll show you one of those in a minute. But I want to move on to this. America faces a serious housing shortage, one that Moody's estimates will take more than 2 million homes to resolve. There's a problem going on right now, and this extends further and further beyond where most people are aware of. They're just looking at the price of homes, they look at what's happening in their community, but they don't realize how much more there is. Analysts put the number at over 3 million. Goldman Sachs, okay? Zillow's estimate tops 4 million. Brookings projects 5 million. McKinsey says 8 million. The shortfall may be closer to 20 million. That's right. Hold on. Then there are economists who contend there's no shortage at all. What are we talking about? How many homes are actually needed? And this is hard to estimate because we don't know what's really going on. How many homes are being kept empty? How many are Airbnb homes that are like 1 day a year? How many homes are supposedly you got people there, but actually it's vacant, or the other way around? It's really hard to estimate. The point here, though, is that we have a real housing crisis. In some areas, there legitimately is a housing shortage, affordable housing shortage. And in other places, there are likely way too many. Maybe it's in some of these tourist hotspots, and you have tons and tons of homes available. They thought they were going to Airbnb and that, that whole trend. Oh, yeah, you can Airbnb this and you're going to make so much money. Buy my course, so on and so forth. Well, people actually did that. And you could see the result of it here and now. Trump to hike global tariffs to 15% from 10%, effective immediately. So the Supreme Court struck down the reciprocal tariffs, and he said, all right, well, let's go 15% global. We don't know what's going to happen, but I can tell you something about tariffs. Tariffs paid by mid-size U.S. businesses tripled over the course of the past year. And right here, we can see the more detail. Additional taxes have meant that companies that employ a combined 48 million people in the US have had to find new ways to absorb the expense by passing it along to customers in the form of higher prices, employing fewer workers, or accepting lower profits. Depending on your industry, lower profits may not be a game that you can play. Okay? Many people think that you buy something and it's pennies and then you sell it for this high amount. No matter what, if you're talking about a retail establishment, usually whatever price that you see at that retail store, that retailer bought it at, I'm talking, this is in the best case scenario, at half of that cost. If it's a $40 product, they are buying it for $20. If they're buying it for $20, what did it cost to ship to that place? Let's just say it's Walmart or something. What did it cost to ship there? When it got there, all of the costs before it, everything to do with logistics and customs and tariffs and the manufacturing costs and the warehousing costs. And if it had to move between one place to another, there's more shipping costs. What about labels? What about the boxes? On and on and on, okay? There are so many costs. I have a physical products business, all right? I know how it is. And my goodness, the margins are much, much thinner than you could ever imagine. I have one employee. I wish I could have 10. The margins just don't allow it. All right? So this is what's going on, and I'm as small as it gets. I could imagine what these other companies are facing. Now, the big companies, they're fine. They're getting hundreds of billions of dollars thrown at them. But it's the small, and presumably the medium as well, they're just taking a hit. This is unbelievable. U.S. manufacturing is in retreat, and the tariffs aren't helping. Levies on imports were supposed to bring back the golden age of U.S. manufacturing. They haven't worked so far. And we will see what happens with this. And I think there is a case for certain type of manufacturing. They could do that. They could have, whether it's for so-called defense or whether this is, the highest end semiconductors. That makes sense. But trying to make trinkets, none of that needs to be tariffed. Okay, let's be honest. This is unbelievable, but $660 billion spending spree that's going on with AI companies, tech companies, are reigniting AI bubble fears, and that's what caused the turbulence, partly caused the turbulence in the stock market this week. This is the same thing, talking about how they want to spend over $600 billion in just a handful of companies. They are, some say, overspending. It's remarkable that we haven't seen more big swings going on. Our dollar, your problem, said of the market's calm. Textbooks would say uncertainty is bad for economic growth, but there's not much evidence that has had significant impact on the US economy so far. Business investment in the first place, you would see that it would show up, but look, it's just strong. And that's what's happening with the US. Ugly ducklings around. I always try to bring it full circle at the end. Ugly ducklings everywhere. And the US is kind of the least ugly in some cases. Long term, not good. But shorter term, we could see what's going on here, okay? And look at what has been benefiting from all of this. It's the real stuff, the real deal. Gold, silver. Gold, as of this recording, 51, 54. Silver's case, getting, closer and closer to 90 again. It has been a wild ride in precious metals. And what's this all about? People are losing faith in the currency. The devaluation of the currency is not just happening now, it's been happening for a long time, but it's been accelerating over the years. People are looking for a safe haven, but don't forget that there's a lot of speculation going on, so be very careful. Everybody who's a member of the site, themoneygps.com, check out the new feature, whale bets. Okay, there's none right now, but what this does is it's constantly scanning Polymarket to determine who are the big bettors. Are they betting on big things right now? Because when that happens, something's going on. Somebody has some inside information. And we did a test with the individual friend of mine who asked me to build this feature. He said, "You are 3 for 3 today on your information." So it happens to be very good. So if you're part of the moneygps.com, check out the new whale bets feature. That's just one of, as you can see, that how many tabs there are there, and then each one has multiple within it. This is just a fun thing. There's the collectible section as well, where you could see the Pokemon cards and sports cards, all types of different things. That how did this trade in the previous times, all through eBay, pulling that through. Pretty interesting stuff. I hope that you do appreciate this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up button. That's how you support this channel. I'm going to try to make videos much more consistently in the next little while. I want to thank you for being here today. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.